This today is a very special session because it's about the technology which is highly relevant to me, which is in the area of online conferencing, a space where I frankly have been received lots of marketing emails in 2020 of solutions to bring my conference online. And yeah, from all of those I reviewed, Ryan, the CEO founder of BuzzCast, reached also out, and I was frankly blown away by the product impression. And I thought, wow, I have to learn more about what they do and how they do it. And it happened to be that they are not a normal tech startup. They kind of started their origin, and Ryan, maybe you give us some background, at a film production company. So you're really bringing a very high-end entertainment experience to conferencing. Maybe I can start with a big name drop. The Gates Foundation did a massive event on your platform, which is a testimony, I think, for the product itself. But before I take all the thunder, Ryan, over to you. Give us a background of BuzzCast.
So really, I've run a sort of high-end production company for the last 14 years called the Buzz Lab. And we work with almost exclusively with very large enterprise clients. We do Oracle and Adobe and eBay and PayPal. So when all of this happened and the world changed on all of us suddenly, a lot of my clients were coming to me and asking, what do we do now and how are we going to go about this? And so just so happened at the time, I was already working with Luke and our other partner, Matthias, who are both on the technology side of things. We were already working with some technology related to streaming and interactive video. And we looked at it, and there were sort of two pieces on the table that, and sort of two entities that we could combine to create a product. And very specifically, we're trying to create a product that really serves the needs of large production companies and agencies, because they're really our primary customer. So we're building the tools that are of the sophistication and scale and security that they need to operate.
And how big of events do we need to think of? Like 200 people, or Noah was up to 5,000?
Sure, it can range. Our largest event was about 120,000 people. And our smallest event was somewhere around 200 type of range. So it can vary a lot. We tend to focus on larger events, larger, more complicated events. We sort of have a couple of key pillars that we focus on. One is, stability at scale and the ability to scale both up and down. Another big one is security, because the companies that we're dealing with, we have to go through their InfoSec requirements. We have to pass their things. You can imagine the type of security things we had to go through for the Gates Foundation or other companies we work with, like Uber or Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, companies like that. We have to really pass and make sure that we have a secure platform for them. So that's another big pillar.
Is there like a post-use of the content? Because it's also something I'm interested in, because we have 2,500 videos sitting in our library, right?
Yeah. So, of course, it depends a little bit on the client, but we have, full video on demand library that gets used afterwards. So some events, for example, we did the National Academy of Sports Medicine, which was that was over 100,000 sports trainers. And so those were very specific sort of educational, other trainers, sports trainers training other trainers. And so in that case, that library still exists and it gets used all the time.
How big is large scale? How big is the market?
The overall market size, I saw some statistics on sort of the virtual events side of things, was, I think this year went from 77 billion up to 98 billion, they were saying, and expecting it to go up to.
And these are technical costs to perform these events, or this market?
These are the overall sort of virtual events, yeah. But I think, to that point, one of the big questions that always comes up in people's minds is, is this space just happening only because we're all locked up and, having to do events virtually? And certainly that's a big factor right now. And a lot of people think, well, what happens after this? Does it just go to hybrid events and et cetera, where we're going to combine the two? And I think that certainly the hybrid side of things will exist. I don't think many in-person events are going to be purely in person anymore. They're going to have perhaps a smaller group in person and then broadcasting out to a much broader group of people. That may be true, but I think that's kind of the small piece of the market. I think the really big piece of the market that we're going to see is this entire layer that's going to be unlocked coming out of this. Because what happens is when you do these big, large in-person events, these companies may spend $3 million on an event, and $2 million of that is going to flights and hotel and catering and staff, et cetera. And maybe $1 million or less is going into any sort of production that's happening. So those are very expensive things to put on. They take a very long time to put on. And so when you have, say, you want to put an event on for this product line or this division of your company, before that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now all of a sudden we have a way to do those. We have a way to get more targeted with these events. We have a way to sort of put out more events that will get more specific results. And I think that's really the thing we're going to see unlocked coming out of here.
Ryan, I'm really pleased to hear your story, how you, from a film production company, become a tech company. And I think the way you look at it strategically, like market opportunity wise, as an organizer, I know exactly what difficult pain points you solve. And
yeah, I mean, I think, right now we're trying to solve some of the big conferences, but then I think what happens is we start to develop, different templates or different views on the same type of platform that may work better for a certain area. So I think there's different forms it takes on. And I think we'll see over time, we start to kind of create these different segments that will work for different parts of the market.
Well, the NOAA community will look forward to a buzzing BuzzCast in October. I say thank you so much for this inspiring interview and wish you many happy events with great, happy attendees.